Between 1950 and 1980, an ordinary American factory worker lived better than most rich people elsewhere in the world. 40-hour work weeks, owned a house, sent kids to good schools, retired comfortably, took vacations. One income was enough. That wealth is gone, and the reason it disappeared is not what most people think. It was not automation, it was not laziness, it was empire. And the way empire warped the entire American economy from the inside out. In 1950, manufacturing made up about 40% of America's economic output and employed 30% of its workforce. Financial services barely registered. Today, manufacturing accounts for only about 10% of the economy. Financial services, banks, hedge funds, investment firms now produce 22% of GDP and generate 40% of all corporate profits. And they employ just 5% of the workforce. That swing is not a natural evolution. It is a complete restructuring of who holds power in America and who benefits from that power. In the manufacturing era, workers had political clout. They were organized, they voted, they had unions, and politicians had to take them seriously. Today, the real political power lives with Wall Street and the professional managerial class. The people who attended elite universities live on the coasts and manage the money that flows through the global financial system. The result is a government that writes policy for that class at the expense of everyone else. To understand why this happened, you have to go back to the founding logic of America itself. The Declaration of Independence, written by Thomas Jefferson, promised every citizen the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And what Jefferson specifically meant by the pursuit of happiness was the pursuit of wealth. The idea was that a society that lets everyone chase prosperity will, collectively, become powerful. And it worked. In about 150 years, America went from a colonial backwater to the most powerful nation on earth. After World War II, America had a choice about what to do with that power. In 1944, at the Bretton Woods Conference, it chose to make the US dollar the reserve currency of the entire global economy. Every nation that wanted to participate in international trade had to use American dollars. This was extraordinary power, the ability to essentially print money that the entire world had to accept. There was a safeguard: the dollar was pegged to gold. $1 equaled a fixed amount of gold. This kept the system honest. But in 1971, Richard Nixon ended the gold standard. America had spent too much on the space race, on Vietnam, on domestic programs. It needed to cut loose from the constraint. So instead of backing the dollar with gold, America switched to oil. The petrodollar was born. Oil, which every economy in the world needs, would only be priced and sold in US dollars. As long as the world needed oil, the world needed dollars. And as long as the world needed dollars, America could print them. Then in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. The last real competitor was gone. America was not just a superpower, it was the only power. And it set the rules of the global game to guarantee its own victory in perpetuity. Here is how the trap works. When America became the financial center of the global economy, wealth from everywhere on earth started flowing into American assets, stocks, real estate, bonds. This was not because America was producing the most. It was because the dollar was the dominant currency and American assets were considered the safest. All that foreign wealth pouring in created bubbles. Dot-com crash in 2001, housing crash in 2008, banks collapsing, assets permanently overpriced. Here is the perverse incentive built into Wall Street. Fund managers do not get paid based on how well their investments perform. They get paid a management fee, a percentage of the money they oversee. More money to manage means more fees, regardless of performance. So the incentive is not to be cautious and conservative. The incentive is to attract as much money as possible by designing riskier and more complex products. Meanwhile, the smartest people coming out of universities, mathematicians, physicists, engineers who should be building the next generation of technology, are recruited to Wall Street to design financial instruments, not to build things, to gamble with other people's money. And the national debt now sits at $34 trillion. About half is owed to foreign governments, Japan, China, others. There is no realistic path to paying it back. The system only keeps working as long as everyone agrees to pretend it does. So what holds it together? The answer is empire. The perception that America is militarily invincible means the dollar remains credible. The dollar's credibility means the debt remains manageable. The debt funds the military. The military maintains the empire. It is a cycle that feeds itself. But empires by their nature develop a fatal blind spot. They grow so accustomed to winning that they lose the ability to imagine losing. They stop asking whether their strategies are working. And when you can no longer challenge an empire from the outside, you watch it from within. Watch the politics become more divisive. Watch the wealth gap grow. Watch the young generation stop believing in the future. Watch the working class, the people who actually built the country, get written off as irrelevant. Rome did this too. It ran out of enemies abroad, so the elites turned on each other and on the people below them. The republic that had made Rome great was hollowed out by the very people sworn to protect it. America rebuilt itself in Rome's image. It is worth asking whether it is now inheriting Rome's